What is going on, guys? Welcome back to Late Checkout. So excited to have you here. If you are new here, this is my podcast. I am Laura Janela. This is the place where I talk everything travel and wellness. I own a brand that inspires conscious living through travel and wellness. I am big on self development. I'm big on travel, and I'm big on being intentional in this human experience. So, welcome if this is your first time. I think this is a great episode if this is your first time because we are dipping into the travel train here. And I want to talk about the top 5 places where I had a spiritual experience in, like one of those places you go to that just moves you. It moves your soul. And in real time, you feel that shift happening. You feel that awakening. You feel that something special happening to your mind. It's being expanded live and in that moment. And there are definitely 5 places that I feel the most compelled to talk about when it comes to having those expansive experiences. I am an avid traveler. I've been to 46 countries. Traveling is literally etched into my soul and in my blood. I am a Sagittarius, so of course, I am ruled by the planet Jupiter that is all about expansion and traveling and exploring and learning and gaining knowledge and just really milking any experience that is in front of me. But outside of my astrology, I just feel so pulled to travel. I remember when I was 24, I took my first trip that I could take myself on because I grew up in a low income household. Traveling was not something I did growing up. When I got to the age where I could really afford what I wanted to do, I was working in corporate at the time. I knew I wanted to get away, to recharge, to unplug. I had this fantasy, I remember, like wanting to experience what it was like to swim up to a bar in the Caribbean. I wanted to have that experience of being at a resort and just having everything wait on you hand and foot. There's food there, there's beach there, there's drinks there, there's sun, there's sand. Like there was something so compelling about it. I was drawn to it. I'm such a beach girly. I love sitting in the sand and just letting the sun recharge my skin, recharge my mind, recharge my brain. And my point in expressing this is that when I went on this trip, it was to Puerto Rico. I went with a colleague of mine who turned into a really dear friend of mine. Shout out to Mika. When we got there, it was exactly what I thought it would be, right? The swim up bar, the beach, and just the sun and feeling so good. We also left the resort while we were there. We went into the Yuki rainforest. I saw my first waterfall in real person, like actually in the water with the waterfall and feeling like the impact of nature just like pouring down on us was one of the coolest experiences. We went to a bioluminescent bay and kayaked through it, which was straight out of like a storybook. It was so cool, like kayaking through the mangroves. We also did like a catamaran trip, went to a neighboring island. We just did some cool things that I was not expecting out of the trip. But of course, like traveling comes with all of its like many surprises and it's supposed to like move you and awe you. And I say this because there was a point on the last day while we were there and we were on the beach. And I remember going so deep in reflection, like thinking about my life, thinking about my job, thinking about the relationship I was in, if I was really happy with it. I was looking at my life almost from like a bird's eye view and really seeing pieces of it that didn't feel aligned or like actually giving myself the space to think about the what ifs. What if things were different? What would I do if I were to leave my job? What would I do if I were to leave this relationship? Like, what do I truly want? And it hit me when I got back, actually, that I wouldn't have been able to experience that lens of thinking if I had just stayed in my environment. Like it took me going those many miles away, being in a completely different environment, experiencing new experiences, kind of just like opening my eyes, opening my mind a little bit larger. And then in return, by me doing those motions, I feel like my spirit, my soul, my mind was able to see things differently and was able to have the opportunity to give myself like a real moment of reflection. And at that point, I had been an avid journaler. I love to journal. I definitely had ways at home to go inward at the level I thought was comfortable for going inward when I was 24 because, at 24, we're busy, we're going out, social life is prominent, we're working hard, we're hustling, especially in New York City. Like, I just felt like life was going very fast. So anytime I could journal, I would. But when I got back home from that trip, I was like, holy shit. Like, I don't even think I could have had a journal session that meaningful at home. I would not have been able to go that inward, to see my life, to be that honest with myself, to be that reflective. So I will say from that point on, I got bit by the travel bug. That was like the big line back then was like, I'm bit by the travel bug. Oh my God. I was bit. I was scratching that itch. I'm like somebody who gets a mosquito bite. I can't not scratch it. I'm scratching it. I'm indulging in it. I absolutely love travel for the very reasons that came up in that trip. So anytime after that, I was just craving to go away, craving to explore more places, craving to have my mind expanded. But more importantly, I was craving to meet that new piece of me that I would find by being away. The more I traveled, the more I learned about myself, the more I built self trust, the more I was able to show up in this very authentic way. Meaning, when I'm on vacation, and I'm traveling, I am like this. I take on this whole identity, and I'm sure some of you can relate. I just feel more whimsical, more spontaneous. I am going with the flow. I'm excited. I'm enlightened. I'm somebody who's not scared of traveling on a plane, like plane rides. I get so excited. Like, I just feel like a natural born jet setter in that sense. So when I travel, I feel like I come alive in this very special way. And it is a part of me that lives with me at home, right? That lives with me in my life. I am somebody who's optimistic, who likes to be whimsical, who likes to be spontaneous, but like daily life bonks you down with the opposite of that, right? Like schedules, routines, trying to get into a groove. So I see glimpses of that side of me when I'm home. But when I get on that plane, I am locked in to travel identity, Laura. I feel free spirited. I feel like literally the world is my oyster, and I know that I'm in a really amazing time. I crave like the stimulation of like how your senses are so locked in a new place. Like you're eating new food, you're hearing new language, you're seeing new sights and architecture and art and shops. The way that we get thrown into this like portal of a new part of this earth is the most exciting part about traveling. Like all of that outside sensory, talking to new people, hearing other people speak, like just in conversation at the table next to you, even just simply like people watching. Like I love going to a cafe and just people watching and just observing how people live their lives in these other places because I get to be expanded by their day to day and then bring it home to my day to day. Even if it's just like the fashion that you're observing, that you're like, oh my God, I would never think to wear this because where I'm from, people don't dress like that. I love that. Let me buy a piece here and bring it home. There's just so much fruitful amazingness in travel. However, there is that personal development, that self growth that happens when we travel and it pulls you in such a positive way. I don't think we go to travel for the personal growth, right? I personally do, but we all travel because we want to get away from our environment. We want to go explore. We want to go try the new food, talk to the new people, see the new sights. And all the while that you're attracted to this like sensory stimulation and the simple fact of getting away and exploring, you're also, whether you like it or not, in parallel are having this like super amazing growth journey while you're gone. Like every time we go away and we come back a little different. We come back having found a little piece of ourselves from the location that we were at. And that to me is the passion I have for travel. That ability to grow in such a short time frame in a way that you would not be able to do if you stayed home. It's just to me that's like where my love is in it for me. So when it comes to my top 5 places that I felt like completely shifted and like spiritually moved, I mean it in that way where there's like that, not just that like gradual growth and perspective while you're there. These are places where when I'm there, something hit me like a ton of bricks that was like, holy shit. Like I literally felt my mind shift. I literally felt my heart open and I felt my soul just kind of take in this new information and reflect on it so deeply in that moment. Now, if you think that I am just pulling your leg, talking about all this personal growth when we're traveling, that I'm just this like super deep person in general, so of course I'm going to have that takeaway, I am going to prove to you why and how traveling has probably expanded you in some way. Everybody that travels, when you go on a trip and you're with a group of people or you're with your spouse or you're with your friend, there is a point in that trip, and it could be when you're drunk as hell, it could be sober as fuck, it can be at any point in the trip, there is a deep conversation that happens. Like, think about it. Every time we travel and we're with somebody else, there is this ability to have a conversation about like existential thoughts, about a part of your relationship with that person that you wouldn't have been able to address at home. There's a part of you that just feels more open minded, more ready to receive and ready to be vulnerable. There's a shift that happens. There is an opening. And I think that's why people say, I have to agree, that if you really want to test your relationship and see if you're good for each other, to travel together. I 100% agree with that. I'm just going to say this really quick before I get into my 5 places. When I talk about self-development, personal growth, self-discovery in my brand, right? I have explored myself. I have gone inward in so many different ways, right? Like through therapies, even just going through like grief and loss, through inner child work, through journaling. There's just so many tools to go inward. But my absolute favorite one out of all of them is traveling. And it's because it's the one that was almost like my gateway to going inward and to not be scared to go inward. It gave me the feeling that it wasn't bad to go deep, that depth isn't a negative thing. My whole life, I've always felt very deep. I feel very deeply about things, but I never really knew how to articulate my depth. I never knew how to even like integrate my depth and like accept it fully because I didn't have the right people around me, I didn't have the right tools. And I think it was to take all of that into my adulthood to learn how to do it myself. And traveling was like my number one, telling you, it's like a gateway drug. It's like shit. I just wanted to keep peeling back the layers and going inward and having those reflection moments and really just to help myself continue expanding, growing, opening up my mind and never like stunting myself of new knowledge or new evolution in my life. So take a moment here and think to yourself, what makes you go deep? What is something that allows you to go inward or someone? Like, do you have a safe person that you're able to just be your utmost vulnerable self with? Is it when you travel that makes you go inward and get deep? Is it the therapies that you go to? Is it even a hobby that you do that allows you to clear your mind and go inward, whether you like to paint or do pottery or even when you're working out, stretching, yoga? There's so many ways that we're able to go inward and silence the noise and just think about self. Think about your life. Think about what you truly want without all of the ideologies helicoptering around you. I think it's a good point to reflect on because you should lean into it. Lean into what gives you that moment of depth, that moment of going inward, so you can always have a pulse check on what it is that your soul and your spirit and yourself, just your physical body, like truly wants and needs. Okay, let's get into it. I'm so excited for this list because these are some countries that I'm just going to have some nostalgia talking about. These are some really good trips, guys. I'm excited. The first place on my list is Kenya. And now this list is not in any order. This is just like a bucket of places. I don't have any hierarchy over the other. These are just like 5 parallel places that I've been to that I had spiritual experiences in. Okay, the first one is Kenya. Oh gosh, this was such a special trip, not only because it was our honeymoon, but going on a safari trip, like a true safari trip, is such an eye opener to what this world was truly made for, what nature is truly made for. It takes you out of your city filled with all of these concrete, crazy buildings and people being chaotic, and it drops you right in the middle of just pure nature where animals are running on pure instinct. There is just this level of opening up and seeing, and really like it hits you that we really just are another animal in the animal kingdom, returning to that truth that humans are just a piece of this earth, just like all the animals are, all the fish are, all the plants, all the water, all the land, all the beauty of this earth. Like we are a part of that. And a safari trip will absolutely bring you right into that truth, and seeing it firsthand, you will be just completely soaked into the experience. So when we went to Kenya, I'm just going to give a little bit of light on how we spent our time in case this is on your list for you guys to go to. We flew into Nairobi. We then flew out on puddle jumpers, which, okay, I did say that I'm not scared of traveling on a plane, but these puddle jumper planes that get you from all the different areas and camps and safaris, they're type scary. Like, only because, they're like a 6 or 8 passenger plane, and you can see out the front window. Like, I felt like I was like, "Wait, I'm not supposed to see into the cockpit. I'm not supposed to see what's coming directly in front of us." There was something, like, weird about that a girl was praying on those little, like, 20-minute puddle jumper rides. I will say that, but completely worth it. Enduring the anxiety was worth every second. So we puddle jumped over to a rhino sanctuary, which was so special. We spent the extra money to kind of have the experiences that we felt like really we were one of the only people staying in those areas, especially because it was our honeymoon. And I also was a little nervous about flying into Nairobi. And, Kenya does have a lot of crime going on. So I wanted our trip to be safe. I wanted us to have like pre booked transport going everywhere. I just wanted to have like my head accounted for, and to know that I was moving through this very foreign place to me in a safe way. So this rhino sanctuary was such a special experience. When you go on safari trips, you are essentially there for these game rides, right? Like where you go out at 4 o'clock in the morning, do your game ride because some animals are up, some animals are sleeping. You kind of realize quickly that this isn't a zoo. You're not like definitely going to see all the animals. It really is you driving into the wild, and maybe you'll see certain ones and maybe you'll see others. And depending on what time of day, if they're like eating or they're hunting or they're just laying around or they're sleeping, it really depends on what they're doing and if you'll see them or not. So it kind of becomes like addicting. By the end of the week, I was addicted to wanting to go on more and more game rides because there were some animals we didn't get to see. So it definitely made me want to go back for sure. But from this rhino sanctuary, we then flew into the Masai Mara, which was absolutely incredible. More game rides. It was essentially like glamping. I mean, we stayed in a tent, but like when you talk tent, like this was a mini apartment. Like it was gorgeous. Such an amazing experience, like waking up to those sunrises, drinking the coffee that they bring to you like 3:30 in the morning. It is like the strongest coffee, but it's so good. The service, I want to say another part of it is just the people, the culture, like learning about their tribes and how they really honor animals first and like humans come second. It is just a total cultural shift. Like you are seeing things work in this way where humans just have less ego about nature. They honor nature, they honor the animals. And I feel like when we're in these big cities and there aren't really animals around, we're kind of the only animals walking around, we lose touch of that piece of nature and like that ancestry of our earth. So Kenya really moved me. I think just seeing this whole like circle of life, you hear the Lion King theme song in your head 5 million times. You just have such a moving appreciation for the lineage we come from on this earth. It is so beautiful and it really allowed me to just drop in and reflect in that way and to feel super in touch with the honest and very real idea that our journey here is intentional. We are here to do special things that come naturally to us. Like all of these animals are doing what they are meant to do without being bogged down by society and what you should be doing and what you should be thinking and how you should be acting. No, like a lion's just being a lion. The elephants are just being elephants. The giraffes are just doing what they got to do. Like just having that touch point of nature, like our instincts, our natural instincts. It just made me have a bigger appreciation also for our intuition. Our intuition is what we should be listening to the most. And it's something that we push away so easily. We will have an intuitive hit and then convince ourselves to not do it. And I'm watching these animals and like all they're doing is reacting on intuition and their nature and their nervous systems. It's wild. It was so cool. I highly recommend an experience like that to open your mind up to what the world truly is. All right, the next on my list is Brazil. So, for those of you who don't know, I am half Brazilian. My mom is Brazilian. She immigrated to the States in the 80s. I will say this is a biased point on the list, but I have a reason why I have it on the list. Obviously, a few reasons, but I want to make a point with it. Growing up, I had only gone to Brazil twice, and I was a little girl. I mean, I think I went when I was a baby, and then again when I was like 4 or 5. And I did not go back until I was 26 or 27. Going as an adult, having that reconnecting moment with a land that runs in my bloodline was one of the biggest shifts I felt from like a personal identity level. I have a lot of family who lives there. My grandmother at the time was alive and she was like the matriarch of the family. She lived in Rio. Everyone would go to her. We would all just be hanging out in her small apartment, laying on the floor, watching TV, playing music, talking, just lots of food, lots of love, just a burst of energy of love. And having a mom who immigrated, we had very little family in the States. So when I went to Brazil and felt this like connection to people who I don't get to see growing up, just welcoming me with open arms was one of the best feelings as someone who is first generation. And obviously, Rio itself is just phenomenal. I mean, it is my favorite coastline on the entire earth. It is the most beautiful place that has like the trifecta of city, beaches, and the most gorgeous, lush mountains you will ever see in your life. And I can go on about the culture, about the language, about the people being so friendly, the food, just the overall experience of being somewhere with that much liveliness. I mean, oh, I feel so proud to have blood in that culture because it really does bring such a sense of joy because the culture runs on joy. It runs on happiness and just being grateful for life. And the music reflects that, the dancing reflects that, the celebration of life that they have reflects that. I am absolutely obsessed. So, in general, yes, go to Brazil because you will have a special experience when you go. But my biggest point here, which is what I was referring to earlier, is if you have a country that you are blood tied to, right? Like if you have Italian in your family, or Irish, or Russian, or Chinese, or wherever, go to that country. When I landed in Brazil when I was 27, the emotional surge that ruptured in me, this sensation of like, I feel like I'm home and I'm somewhere that I haven't been for 22 years. It is this carnal sense of connection to the land that comes up so potently when you go to a place that your family is connected to. And it's indescribable, honestly, because I grew up my mom's not like a traditional person, like in terms of like family traditions, but she is just so Brazilian that she has traditions in her, like the way we celebrate Christmas Eve and the way she prays, her language, passing down language. I felt always so close to the culture because of my mom, right? Knowing that I am half Brazilian, knowing that there's a piece of me that runs in this country, but going there and having that sensation, that feel, it's a full body feeling. It has nothing to do with your mind. It's like a body spirit level of feeling connected to the land. I don't care how much or how little of culture we're shown from those countries through our family dynamics. It is so important to find that little piece of yourself in that country, like to physically go and feel it, to explore it, to understand it. Even if you're like fifth, sixth generation people, like I'm being serious, like there is a reason why you as a person are connected to that place. There is a reason why there is backstory that you know about from your ancestry that are tied to these parts of the world, and to not give yourself like the ability or chance to explore that side of you is like ripping yourself off in this human journey. Like I said earlier, there's always this parallel like personal growth happening when you travel. I think it's extra potent when you go to a country that your family is tied to. For example, my dad, full American, and he had like a mishmash of cultures in him. Like he had English, he had Danish, he had Russian, he had Czech. I remember going to Prague and like going to London and being like I didn't feel as overwhelmed with this deep connection to it like I did with Brazil, but there was something buzzing. Like there was some connection line buzzing for me. There was still something that buzzed in my cells when I got there. So I highly recommend just going to the place that you know is tied to your family line to have that awakening. All right, we're just moving and grooving here. All right. Going into number 3, third place is Egypt. Oh, Egypt. Oh, I mean, just when you think of Egypt, right? Like the history, the pyramids, just world wonders will always have a big tie to some spirituality, to some kind of grandness of feeling when you're there. And I've been to Egypt a couple times because it was a quick trip from Zurich when we were living in Zurich. It was kind of like our Caribbean, like we'd go to the Red Sea. But specifically in this angle of spirituality, I'm going to talk about our visit to Cairo. Okay, so I'm going to tell you the story of like when the shift happened for me. We were walking through the Sphinx, right? We did our big grand tour day. We had an excellent tour guide. Just so you know, like tour guides there literally have to go to school and get degrees in order to service and be of service in the tour industry. Like they do not take it lightly. I think the history runs so deep there. Our guide was amazing. He was such a great storyteller. He knew absolutely everything. He was friendly, he was kind, he was funny. And we're walking through the area around the Sphinx. And he says, if you look down, you will see imprints in the floor of like from fossils of shrimp, of fish, of like clams. And I'm looking down and I'm like, oh, yeah, I do see those things. That's like, I like my brain wasn't like connecting why. And he's like, yeah, that's because this used to be the bottom of the Mediterranean Sea. And after thousands and thousands of years, the water receded, which is now the country of Egypt, and is now where you're standing. And as he's saying this, I'm having this like literal zoom out moment, like out of body experience where the information he was saying was like there was a time and space between what he was saying and like my brain fully digesting it, where I almost felt like a little dizzy for a second. I was like, "Wait, what?" And, like, I remember looking up and having this immediate, like, channel of thought about my life and how quick and small it is in comparison to the rest of the length of time. Now, I am an existential person. I tend to think about this stuff a lot in general, but having the information be told while you're walking around the Sphinx and you're actually on the ground that used to be miles underwater, I felt like this immediate little ant, like this blip on the timeline of the universe, and it moved me. It just gave me this sense of like, holy shit. I felt like I was taking steps through time. Like it was one of the strangest, indescribable. I know I'm not articulating perfectly the spiritual embodiment of that moment, but I felt so in tune and lockstep and intentional in the time that I was in at that very second. I felt like grounded into the timeline. It's like I could see the quantum timelines and like where I was in that. And it was just this speck of dust in comparison to everything else. And it sent me down a very deep existential spiral. I remember telling this story to like my dad when I got back, to friends when I got back, and just how perspective shifting it was. You know, you learn about this stuff in school, you learn about how old the earth is in school, you learn about all the history, you know, have your moments of like, wow, that's crazy, that's amazing, I can't believe it. But there's certain places in this world that have and hold a very particular energy, and when that energy crashes on you like a wave, the appreciation and the gratitude for your life is amplified tenfold in those moments and in experiences like that. The 2 days we spent in Cairo, we were on tours all day, and I remember, like, my brain hurt because of how much we learned, how much we were shown, how much culture and history that I was truly taking in. And I'm not somebody who's, like, a big history buff. I love learning about stuff, like, in action like that, like, not sitting in a classroom and looking at a chalkboard. Do they even have chalkboards anymore? I'm so old. But actually experiencing it and, like, learning it through a tour and, like, seeing it firsthand, I really enjoyed that. But there is something with, like, data and my brain, like, things do not stick. Like, my husband, he's a history textbook. He knows everything about history. He loves it, lives for it, and it sticks with him. It does not stick with me, but there are pieces of it that will. And that, my friends, stuck. That shift, that reality shift, it will always be etched into my spirit. I will never forget that moment. All right, I'm going to move on to number 4. Again, these are not in any particular order. Number 4 is Ibiza. Ibiza. I absolutely love Ibiza. Oh my God. I love Ibiza for all the different and beautiful reasons that exist on that island. I am such a Mediterranean junkie. It is my favorite sea in the world. There is something so magical about Ibiza. And I'm going to explain a different couple angles here. First, there's this study of the energetic grid lines that go around the world, right? So there's like latitude and longitude lines of energy that go all around the globe. And there's certain points and locations in this world where energy is way more potent, right? It's like the veil becoming thin in these certain areas. So there's just this overall feeling and sense of energetic connection when you're in these places. And Ibiza is one of them. I think Hawaii is another one. I can't remember the rest of the list, but it's definitely a list to Google and look up, and it kind of is a fun way to mark down a bucket list of places to go to from that lens. And when you go to Ibiza, you feel that energetic feeling. You know, I think that's why the partying is so good there, because it's not like Vegas partying where it's just like a mishmash of craziness. I feel like Ibiza has its craziness, but there is this like intentionality to it. There's an intentionality to the why you're partying. It's that like spiritual connection to music. It's the sensation of just like wanting to move your body and connect with people who also want to do those same things. I think the party scene is that electric because of that energetic line. But parallel to that, what's also very potent on that island is healing. There is so much spiritual healing. People go there to seek spiritual healing on that island. There are wellness centers, there are yoga centers, there are tons of retreats that are held out there. The coastline of Ibiza is gorgeous. There are so many hikes and nature walks you can take, miles of it. And what's awesome is that you can just, like, hop off of your hike and, like, jump in the water and get back on. It's one of the most beautiful, like, cliffside, but lush. The island is so special. It is truly so special. I think it gets the rap of the partying, and I almost feel like it wants to have that because so that the people who do go there for the other special things, it's like you're truly seeking it for that. I feel like if it was only known for this retreat, self-invigorating, self-discovery lifestyle, uh, I don't know if it would hold the same type of people. It's just interesting how the dualities of the island exist so potently, but honestly, I think for the same reason because of that energetic pull. So, I've been to Ibiza 3 times, and I will say the reason why it is on my list is because I went there the 3rd time seeking that spiritual guidance, seeking to drown out the noise and to connect with myself, almost to really hear my inner voice, right? Like to almost like to drown out my anxieties, my frustrations, my confusion. At the time, I had just decided to quit accounting and to go into the creative field. And I felt like at home, I couldn't get clear on what the universe was trying to tell me or what my inner voice was trying to truly say. I just knew that there was some voice in my head telling me, don't do accounting, trust me, don't do accounting. Find your inner gifts, find your skill sets, your natural skill sets. You can do this. Keep going. But at the time I was like, wait, what? Like I can't let go of like what pays me well and the career that I just built for the last like 13 years. I had this very conflicting pull to jump off the career cliff and it was a very hard decision and when I did it, I immediately needed that mental space to be like, am I making the right decision? Like, I needed that clarity. And I went to the island for 4 days. I booked my own retreat, like, meaning I built it myself, meaning I did not book it through a retreat center. There was nothing available. I was looking for a retreat, but there was nothing available at the time. So I said, fuck it, I'm going to do it myself. I actually have an entire episode about this that I'm going to link in the show notes on how I built my retreat. I walk you guys through a step by step on how to build your own. This is such an underrated way for you to be able to plug back into yourself. Like, you don't always need an expensive retreat to go to. You can totally book your own 2 day or 3 day or 4 day or 10 day retreat as long as you have the tools and the ability and the want to be able to build the itinerary yourself. So check that episode out if you are interested in something like that. So I had 4 days. I went by myself and I booked myself up with a one-on-one yoga class, a one-on-one meditation class, a energetic massage, a cacao ceremony. There was a place on the island, and I link it in that show. I link it in that episode that did do like a 1 day retreat or like a half-day retreat. So I did a half-day retreat. We did a nature hike and then did yoga on the cliff sides. We did a sound bath. We did meditation work. And then I also carved out like big parts of my trip to have time alone journaling, just to sit by the pool and journal. I had just started my pathway membership to be magnetic, so I was doing a lot of DIs, and the DIs have like a lot of like EMDR and like rewiring, reprogramming your brain stuff. did tarot reading. I went off. I went off to go explore and find myself and to just silence out the noise. And I received the message that I was looking for. Not exactly how I wanted it to show up, but I got the point. I got the picture. And I don't think I would have gotten that plugged inness, that feeling of full self-assurance to move forward with my career in this direction had I not taken not only the time to go away, but particularly on that island, there is such a sense of being plugged in to purpose, being plugged in to the frequency in which the earth works and why you're here. I'm telling you guys, this is stuff that so hard to articulate, but makes so much sense when you're there because you will feel that feeling. So Ibiza, amazing place. And if you want to go there to party, or do like a half and half. I don't blame you. The partying scene there is amazing too. Okay, the last one is a place that I didn't necessarily have a moment of, wow, I'm spiritually connected to this place, but it is a place that really opened my mind to different history in the world and different religions. So the last place on my list is Cambodia. Back in 2017, my husband and I did like a whole Southeast Asia tour, and one of our stops was in Cambodia. They have the most ancient temples, like literally the most ancient temples that you can tour and walk around. And you definitely feel that sense of like walking through history. But what I loved so much about this trip in general with Southeast Asia, but particularly for Cambodia, was just learning so much about Buddhism. Now, I am no Buddhist. I don't practice Buddhism, but for our spirituality purposes, right? For our spiritual purpose, it is so good to learn about other religions, other spiritualities around the world, because there might be sound bites that you learn that click with you, that initiate a spark of interest, that bring you to your next level of spirituality. Because everyone's different. Everyone's receiving the information differently. You can go to the same place, but everyone's having a different experience. You can go on the same tours, but everyone's understanding the information differently. So giving ourselves that chance, like that opportunity to be able to have that piece of knowledge dropped in, absolutely amazing. And I felt like Cambodia was one of those spaces where the religion was rich, the history was rich, and the people were so kind, so friendly, so nice. Like the service out there is 6, 7 stars. Like it's past 5 stars. And they are just so concerned with making sure that you're happy and you're having the experience that you want, and not like in this annoying way. It feels sincere, it feels genuine, and you feel looked after, you feel cared for. And I felt that through our hotel stay. I felt that through our tour days and like even our car transport people. Like it was just all around this really well-oiled machine of a trip. Like that stop was so nice. On If you're planning a Southeast Asia trip, make that stop in Cambodia because I felt like that was one of our most special stops. Guys, I hope you enjoy this list. It's a meaningful one to me, and I love sharing not only my travel tips and recs and how to travel, period, but I love sharing the experiential level of my trips, the depth of my trips, what I truly was moved by on my trips. Please expect more to come in this light. I'm so excited. And also, because your girl is building her brand, I have been in the works with navigating the affiliate waters with brands that truly, authentically align with my brand. I really want to promote products, services, brands that I personally fully believe in. I'm deep, I'm conscious about shit, I'm very intentional. So anytime in this process of me growing that I am recommending something to you guys, even if it does come with a code and it comes with a partnership with that brand, my intention going into that relationship with that brand is so pure, It comes from a place of passion. It comes from a place of connection. Just like my brand is plugged into conscious living, I am going to be consciously moving through building this brand. So anything that I drop on this podcast or on my Instagram will be coming from a place that I truly believe in what that brand does, because I've used their products or services, because I actually believe in what they're doing and how you can have a amazing experience with them. So when I post this episode, check the show notes. I may have some promos that could help you guys out with planning your next trip. And I'll also definitely be sharing any of these discount codes that you guys can use in my newsletter. So go to laurajanela.com right now, subscribe to my newsletter. My subscribers will be the first people to find out about these promos. You guys are in for the exclusive stuff. So please get on there and support me so I can support you. All right. All right, guys, I got to go. We're wrapping this up, and I will see you next time. Ciao, ciao.